Hi, welcome back. This is your Keto-licious Mama. We're going to make the Fathead pizza dough recipe. Now, there's a lot of different recipes on the internet, varying from using coconut flour versus almond flour, and also the amount of flour that you're actually using inside the recipe. And so, but today I'm going to show you my recipe because when I played with it a little bit, this came out to be the best. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 cups of mozzarella cheese shredded, and you're going to put it into a bowl with about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. And you're supposed to cube it, but because we're going to melt it, I'm not going to bother cubing it because that's just an extra step you don't have to do. And then I also have aside here is 2/3 cups of almond flour. So I'm using almond flour for this, but you can substitute it with coconut flour. Just use about 1/3 of it. And then I also mixed in, which I really liked in this recipe, was putting in a tablespoon of Italian seasoning into the almond flour and just mixing it up. Okay, so I have that. So what you're going to do is you're going to heat up the mozzarella cheese and the cream cheese, and you're going to blend it. So you're going to mix it up and do it a couple of times inside the microwave. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I melt it and combine it. I'm going to do that for 30 seconds first, then I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm going to come back and then do it again, microwave it, just so that it's a nice mixed blended. I also have an egg. I set it out earlier to try and get it to as close to room temperature as possible, and then I'll mix in the flour. Okay, I'm gonna just pop that out now. See how it's done. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit because nothing is really melted. That up. It can melt some more. And unfortunately my cream cheese was frozen because I like to store it frozen until I need it, but it probably would melt better if it wasn't frozen and cubed, but that doesn't matter because the mozzarella didn't melt anyway. So you kind of want to get it to the texture where it's like pulling away from each other, but it's blended. So it's not completely blended yet. I can put it in for maybe 15 seconds more to get that good blend, because you want to get that cream cheese mixed throughout. Blended. So you see how your mozzarella blends in into like one ball. And I'm doing this by hand, but you can do it with your mixer. It's probably faster that way, but so I'm going to go ahead and start mixing in my flour. Just going to mix in a little at a time so that it gets blended in. Also, the egg will help mix it better too. I probably could have even mixed the egg inside the flour first before blending it together, but that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and blend that in, mix that in together. You want to get that really well blended. And again, if you use your mixer, it'll be a little more, it'll be prettier, and it'll be mixed a lot faster. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and mix this for a little bit. You want to get it into a ball after you're done. You can see it's well distributed, which is really nice about having the Italian seasoning, because then you can see that all the Italian seasoning is spread out, so then you know you have flour throughout your mozzarella mix. I've also tried this with coconut flour. It hasn't held up as well, but You can still do it with coconut flour for those who have an allergy to almonds, nut allergy. That's pretty good, well blended. And last time, I didn't even use a mixer. I still blended it, I still mixed it by hand, and then I shaped it in the parchment paper. Yeah, even after you shape it, you are going to bake it for 20 minutes. Preheat your oven to 425. Let's do 425. So you're preheating it. So you're going to cook it pretty high, and you're going to cook it for about 10 minutes at 425. So 10 minutes at 425, you're going to essentially pre-cook your dough. If you notice, we didn't use a lot of ingredients. We used almond flour, mozzarella cheese, cream cheese, Italian seasoning, and 1 egg. So it doesn't take a lot of ingredients to make this pizza crust. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the parchment paper, I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm going to just plop that down. This is pretty dense, but you need it thick so that it holds. So I tried to thin it out and make it really wide, and then it started to fall apart because it needs that density in order to hold its shape as a pizza crust. So I'm going to put another parchment paper on top of it so that I'm not touching it because it's really sticky, and so I'm just going to push down on it. And I'm going to roll it out. You can roll it out with an empty bottle, using it as a rolling pin. I find that it's just as good. Some people have rolling pins. I just happen to not. And I happen to have this empty bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it out. And also I'm going to shape it the way I would shape a regular pizza dough as well, because what you do is you want to move out from the middle and go out to the edges and kind of spread it out that way. And again, you don't want to make it too thin, otherwise you're going to have it's going to fall apart. So I am just going to spread it out with my fingers as well to get the edges, to get that crust. And you don't want to push down too hard on it because it will smush and it'll get really, really, really thin. So you don't want to press too hard on it because you do want a medium thick size crust. And this is going to make about a 12-inch pan. So let me go ahead and you can see from the edges, I'm just making that crust edge. Again, I don't want that crust to be too thick, but this is kind of a good size. See how the crust is intact using the parchment paper, which is really important to use parchment paper. Because if you don't use the parchment paper, it's going to stick all over the place. You're not going to get a consistent layer. And so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tap out the edges so that my crust edge is not too thick. I don't want to take away too much from the center. Even if you mess up, you can start over again, just make it another ball and start spreading it out. But I think this is a good one pass on it. And look, it just peels off, the parchment paper peels off, and then, you can use it again because parchment paper is reusable. And you can keep this for your pizza dough. So I'm just going to try and make the edges a little cleaner. Again, you don't want to squish it too much. And that looks good. I'm just going to wait for my oven to preheat. And so when it gets to temperature, I'm going to throw that in. And then after I cook it, I'll pull it out and we'll see you then. Okay. So I cooked the crust at 425 degrees for 7 minutes. I'm supposed to cook it for a total of 10 minutes, but after 7 minutes, if you flip it, just so that you get an even cook and also you don't get the top burnt, I'm going to flip it. So I just put another pan on top of my, on top of the cooked pan. So I put that parchment back on top of it so you can see how it looks right now. You can see that it's kind of browning, but it's not browning completely evenly, but it is browning. So now I want to flip it so I get the other side exposed. So I'm going to put the parchment paper back and then another pan on top of it. And we're just going to flip it and then cook it for an additional 3 minutes, maybe even a little longer if we need to get that firm crust. Be careful because it is hot. Removing the old pan. I'm also going to take that off, and now we can see the bottom side and we can see how it came out. And if you can see, it's nicely browning on the, which was on the bottom side and now it's on the top side. So I want that same browning on the bottom as well, so that's why I flipped it, and now I'm going to cook it again for about 3 to 5 more minutes. Still at 425. So I'm going to put that in. And then when that comes out in about 5 minutes, then we'll start adding our favorite toppings on it. I did put my marinara sauce in the fridge so that it gets cool, since we're going to put it in such a hot oven. So we're going to put it in our pizza oven that gets up to about 900 degrees, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to put some basil on it as well. But I'm going to put that underneath the cheese so that it doesn't burn the basil. So we'll see you in a minute. Okay, so it's been 3 minutes. We've just flipped it. We put it back in, and now we're taking it out, and let's see how it looks. Oh, look at that. That is a beautiful crust. Look how well and evenly it browned, and this is after flipping it. And so flipping it was a great idea. So what I'm going to do, because then the crust is all brown, let's go ahead and just take a look at the other side and just see how the bottom turned out after having it flipped. Again, be careful with your hot pan. Okay, that is still great. So now this side has browned a lot more evenly, so I don't have any hot spots, which was some of the challenges I had in the beginning of making this crust, but now it looks perfectly browned, and I still have a crust edge. I can flip it again so that I can get that the edge showing. And I'm going to take out my sauce. Because this side looks like the edges, I have more of a crust edge. So I'm going to serve on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and get the marinara sauce, the mozzarella. We're going to go ahead and dress it. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my pizza oven. So we have a pizza oven that's sitting outside. It's actually the OONI, and I didn't pick it because it's close to my name, Uni. We'll show you in a second, but it is the OONI Koda. We also got it on Amazon, and if you click on the link, you'll see the exact model that we got. So I'm going to go ahead and dress my pizza. Let me get the sauce from the refrigerator. I learned this trick to cool down your sauce in the fridge so that your pizza doesn't burn. I really like this marinara sauce. It's the Victoria white linen, because they don't add any sugar to it, so there's no sugar in it, since you're getting the carbs anyway from the actual sauce. go ahead and put that on top. And you can always pre-make these crusts, the pizza crust, and then freeze it and save it for another day. Since if you're in the process of making one, you might as well make a whole bunch. You can also, instead of cooking it, just keep it in the dough version, put it in a round ball and just put it in a freezer bag or your freezer container. I think that's a lot of sauce, so that's good. Okay, I'm gonna go grab some basil and then put that actually underneath the mozzarella so that the basil doesn't burn. Because the OONI is supposed to get super, super hot. Hotter than our Pronto pizzeria. We had the Pronto pizzeria, but then it took so long to make pizzas since it's about 5-minute cook time for each pizza. In this case, it's less than a minute. So, okay, I'll be right back. So let's go ahead and check the temperature now. Right now it's reading at
5 to 600.
5 to 600 degrees. While on the Pronto, I have about 350. Yeah, 350. So this temperature is good though right now for the keto pizza. I wouldn't want it to get it too much hotter because my crust is already cooked. Since my crust is cooked, I'm not as concerned about actually cooking the crust. So here is my pizza made up. I have the marinara on the bottom. I put basil and then I put a whole bunch of mozzarella on top. We're gonna go ahead and throw that in. I really love the color of my crust. It turned out really, really quite pretty. It's kind of orange right now, but it's an even like toast, and it's a firm crust. Cause see, it's holding its shape, and so now we can throw that in. And I can even just put that directly on the pizza peel. And it's not sticking because it's cooked well on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and throw that on the OONI. I do want to check temperature one more time just to see what is a good temperature that we're putting this in at. And we are actually at 600 and it was 610 I saw. So let's go ahead and throw that in. I like the wide opening of the OONI. So let's go ahead and I'm going to drop that in. So I'm going to just I'm going to give it 3 minutes and then I'm going to check on it and see how that's doing. Let me see if I can throw that in just a little deeper. Oh, I can see that it's already, my mozzarella, my cheese is already bubbling super closer to the back as it's close to the flame. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in a little closer. Wow, I can see the flame coming out from the top. So cool. It's like really heavy. Wow, that's getting super, super hot. I'm gonna actually now, not even waiting too much longer. I'm actually gonna turn it because you see it's bubbling already. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's hot. Okay. But I'm gonna take my spatula here. And I'm actually going to turn it because it's too hot to touch because that's how hot the oven gets. But look at that. Look how quickly, and it's not even 3 minutes past. If I had left it for 3 minutes, it probably would have burnt because...
Don't get too close to the flame. There's flame back there. So yeah,
so
don't get too close.
Close to the flame.
You caught fire.
It caught fire on... Okay, there. I just put it out. Nope. Okay. Yeah,
Don't
I'm
get too
gonna
close.
put it like that. I'm just gonna really quick too, not even, it's bubbling already. I think I'm gonna take it out because it's already super, super hot. I'm gonna take it out, I'm gonna put it on my cutting board and slice up some slices.
That's 60 seconds?
Yeah, not even, oh boy, let's get that out of there. Don't want my pizza to burn, because remember, it is cooked already. So, get that on that peel. Look at that. Wow, that is beautiful. And my basil didn't burn because I put it underneath the mozzarella, and I already know that it's gonna be hot. My even my sauces is gonna be hot too, even though we barely left it for a few seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and cut into the pizza. Look at that. Oh, that looks so beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. Mm. I can't believe how quick that was. That was so fast. Because I feel like with the pronto, we're just waiting. And you can get the OONI for about $300 on Amazon. Follow the link below and you'll see the exact model that we got. Take a slice off. Oh, it's still piping hot. Okay. Oh my god, that's really good. It came out really great. I'm really happy with this dough. Wow. So remember, 2/3 cups of flour. That makes a big difference because last time I put too much and it was so dense, it just felt like I was eating cardboard paper. But in this case, look how chewy. And you can even feel that it's chewy on the inside, the crust. And that's the crust part. And it is chewy, and it's not a hard crust. I mean, you could cook it more for the hard crust, but I like that it has a good texture. Oh, and you get the chewiness of New York style pizza, where the dough gets soft because of the tomato sauce, and it gives that extra chewiness. Oh, this is really good, and it is not just because I made it. It actually tastes really good. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe and keep following this channel, and while I try and bring you great recipes. Talk to you soon. Bye.